How's everyone doing? Good? Awesome. Is enjoying it so far? Being back on it? Steelers back and everything? Awesome.
Are you enjoying it?
Oh, are you kidding me? It's the best time of year. Best time of year. It's all football. That's it. So.
Caleb's been having a pretty good summer. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, he's had a good, really, dating back to the spring, right, January. From the time I've got here, he's had a great stretch, which is so important. I think every specialist kind of has a unique curve, in terms of their development, especially somebody like him that's been thrust into, the role that he's in terms of being a true punter now, because he was kind of a very raw punter coming in. And so, last year I think there were some ebbs and flows, obviously. But then so this offseason was all about like, hey, let's get some conviction behind what you're doing, understand the whys behind what you're doing all the time, and that consistency is going to come. And then with that comes confidence, and that's what we really started to see from him. I know Coach, I think, elaborated to him going down to hammer kicking 40 and doing the college competition with guys, and he actually won the competition versus some really good punters from all over the country. And I think when he came back from that, it was like, okay, I can be special at this, and I'm just proud of him because that's the work that he's put in. It's only him that's done that, and that's awesome to see as a coach.
So was it mostly mental stuff with him, or was there mechanical things?
I think it's always a mixture of both, right? Like I think there was some mental in terms of just the confidence level, and then the second piece of that obviously is the technique, and that all kind of starts to gel together. And once it starts to gel together, guys get really, really good.
Where was that?
I was down in Orlando. I know Ben Sauls. Adam Tanowski does a great job with those guys. Across the country. And he's one of the best and a good human being too. And so he does a great job setting up camps for high school guys, and then obviously for college guys too, to come back and kind of pay their dues a little bit. They came up through his camps, so they get to come back and work and then also compete and get some instruction, which is awesome.
Matt said that he gave you credit for getting Caleb's mind right. What did that involve as part of the coach?
Sure. Well, I think I alluded to it in my first interview about he's special. Like when you watch him punt, he has tremendous leg speed. And so from there, it's just getting him to see that in himself. And I think a big piece of that is the consistency. And so we minimize the things and the thoughts in his mind, right? We minimize it to 2 or 3 things that then he can go out there and just grind on those 1 thing, 2 things every other day, whatever it ends up being. So then now he can go out there and be confident. Because when you go out there, it's no different in golf. You go out there and you're thinking about 100 different things. Well, good luck actually doing the one thing you're supposed to do, and that's make it hit a pure shot, right? And it's the same thing as a punter, and I'm a big believer, and obviously on game day, I'm going to put those guys in situations to be successful, without obviously handling wind and different things like that, and our different sets that we can do, so that way they can go out there and have the most confidence known to man, and they can go do their job.
You've been looked at as a pretty effective special teams coordinator at your previous stops. Coming in here, what are you trying to implement that worked at some of those places that maybe was missing?
I think it's just the excitement around special teams, and I think it's throughout the entire program. It's not just me as a special teams coordinator, right? And with the passing of the new rule, with the GAs and QCs being able to do stuff, you've got young guys that are hungry to be coaches that are going all out during practice coaching special teams, and then our position coach do a phenomenal job. And then when in the meeting room, we created a fun environment, to say the least. And so because of that, guys, it's contagious, and guys are flying around right now, and it's been really, really pleasantly surprising where they're at right now. And again, because we have great specialists, that always feeds into it.
We see you flying around the field during practice with the high energy. Do you think this team needed that type of wake-up call with that type of coaching to infuse that energy into them?
It's hard for me to say what was happening before I got here. I know, obviously, Coach Narduzzi is as good as there is when it comes to having a plan and a vision for his program. He's been doing it for a long time at a very high level. And so, obviously, he brought us in for a reason. He knew the energy that we all carried in how we go about business. And so I think obviously, I think that was a big piece of why you look at the offensive staff and somebody like myself, why I got hired.
Another guy that's been mentioned a lot, Danny Warrock. What has he been able to do, and what do you see in him?
Danny is, he does it all, man. I don't think a lot of people understand, what it takes to be a special teams quality control, especially during fall camp. It is a long day and a lot of isolation. I did it for a couple years, and I'm not going to sit here and say it's fun necessarily. It's fun when you're out on that field, but then you get in there, and we get a lot of reps during special teams, and he's labeling names. So he's in there at his computer from pretty much this time until meetings, and he's back at it, charting stuff, and then getting meetings ready. And I mean, to have somebody like that with me that I've been with before, I mean, I can't tell you guys enough how much I appreciate it and how much better it makes my job, because I know that Danny's going to make sure all of our ducks in order, so then can focus on the personnel, and he's got a ton of energy too, and he's got a bright future in this profession.
Speaking of the enthusiasm and energy you bring to your job, where did all that come from? Where you acquire that kind of mindset?
I think a lot of it obviously is I've always been a pretty hyper person. I've always loved to compete. But you know what, like, it goes back to my parents. I got great parents at home, my mom and dad. My dad, like, he always used to tell us, like, if you're going to do something, you're going to do it the best that you can, no matter what you're doing. And so that's something that's always stuck with me. And, even in the ups and downs of life, like, and even in this profession, like, you know what, I get to step foot in an awesome facility with great people. I get to coach a game that I love and be around and influence people's lives. Like, what isn't there to be excited about that? The wins and losses, that's all a byproduct. But what better thing to do than get to stand up in front of the entire team and have some fun and get the most out of them and hopefully see those guys reach their potential.
How about the kick and punt coverage been looking at? Who are some of the guys that have been standing out in that department?
Yeah, punts looked really well. Obviously it goes back to Junko kicking the ball in the right spots and with great hang time, and he's done a good job with that. Coverage-wise, Lynham's done an unbelievable job. I know he had done some stuff back at Nebraska. He's done a good job. Some of our linebackers have done a great job. It's the usual suspects in terms of special teams that you want to see. So I'm really excited about where we're at, and we got a lot of depth right now. That's the other fun piece. It's not just a couple handful of guys. Like, there's a lot of guys that you turn the tape on, you're like, man, I can't wait to see that guy flying around.
We talked to Pat and JJ about the receivers. He said, we need to go, 6, 7, 8 deep, because how fast we're going to move, we're going to rotate a lot of guys in. How much does that apply to tight ends, I guess? Does Gavin need to be ready to play upwards of 75% of the snaps? Or are you going to rotate as much as the receivers?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it's hard to say going into a game, because like the ebbs and flows of games, the adjustments that you may have to make within the course of the game, it makes it kind of difficult to say this is how much snaps a guy's going to get. I think the tight end position is a unique spot in the sense of you're going to have different guys in there throughout the course of the game, just because again, with us going tempo, the receivers are built for that a little bit more than is a Gavin Bartholomew, who's 250 pounds. So naturally you're going to have to give him some blows every now and then and spell him. And so there's a little bit more role by committee in the tight end room.
Who have you looked at so far to field punts and kick returns so far?
There's a bunch of guys. I think, Mump's done a great job. He's taken a lot of pride in it. Like I've told him, it's a good opportunity to just add something to your resume for the next level. Kenny Johnson, Des Reed, Che, it's really the same kind of guys that have always been back there. And, there's some young guys too that we're trying to develop, like a Tyreek Robinson and some other guys there that can help us out, hopefully in the future.
Talk a little bit more about Jacob Bronowski. I mean, we haven't really heard a lot about him throughout camp so far. What have you seen from him?
He's obviously really, really fast. He's working to be physical, and he's a guy that's been working hard in the classroom and learning the offense, and so I think he's on the right trajectory where he needs to be, for his development and what we're going to need from him as an offense or on special teams units as well.
How has Ben Sauls improved over this offseason?
His biggest thing is Ben is, and I don't know if you guys have seen him, but Ben's enjoying being out on the football field, and because Ben, I think I said it in one of my interviews, I mean, he's a fierce competitor, and sometimes that can get the best of him because he wants to be the greatest and he wants everybody around him to be elite and great, and sometimes that can be frustrating for him. And so for him, that's been my challenge. Is like, man, you've had an unbelievable career, and you've also had some downs in your career. So like, what better way to finish this thing off than just going out there and enjoying the moment every single day, enjoying the process. And you're so talented, like those results can take care of himself. That's what it's been for him. Like he comes in, he's got a good attitude, and he never had a bad attitude, but he's just enjoying being in the facility and out on the field, and it's awesome to watch.
If you look at your hours in this building, how do you think the split breaks down between tight ends, offense, and special teams? How do you spend your time?
I mean, golly, I'd be lying if I said I don't think about special teams all the time because my thing is this: you're sitting there watching practice film, and that's where I think there's a ton of benefit being a special teams coordinator and a position coach, because sometimes you get in there and you're a special teams coordinator and you're kind of looking at things through a straw a little bit. You're not seeing the entirety of that football player. And so when you sit there in the offensive room and you're watching an offense, well, now I'm watching every single guy in the offense, how they block on the perimeter, what their movement skills look like, and then flip it around. I'm watching the defensive players and what they look like in space, and guys that are, there's some young guys that you're like, man, that guy, he's going to have it. Like, I don't know if it's going to be early, but man, that's a guy we got to force feed. And so it's nonstop, and it's no different than in my mind being a head coach. Like Coach Narduzzi's got a lot on his plate, and he's got to kind of compartmentalize things, and that's what makes being a special teams coordinator unique as well. And but I mean, I'd say half and half because it's kind of all the time. You don't really turn it off, and I wouldn't say when it's just in this facility. My wife knows I bring it all home too, so she hears about it as well.
Is Junko going to be a long snapper?
Yes, sir. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. He's done a great job. He's earned that job, and he's done a really good job in coverage too. I'm really proud of him, the growth that he's made in that. And again, shout out to Danny Orrock for that. Like he works with him a ton with that, and they watch film, and I couldn't be happier with where he's at there.
What about Malachi Thomas? We talked to him yesterday. What do you think of his development as a true freshman?
Malachi is a confident individual, which I'm sure you guys picked up on. Malachi is very, very athletic. He's physical, and it's everything you expect from a guy that's from a South Georgia program that went 15-0 and won a state title. He is all about football, and he's in there late at night, every night, grinding out, going through the plays and going through everything, and he's asking questions. And I give a lot of credit to guys like Gavin and Jake Overman. They freaking pour into him during practice, and they talk to him afterwards and kind of bring him along. And that's what you want to have in your room. When you got a young guy that's talented, you want that guy to be able to get developed by everybody. And that's kind of what's happening. And I'm really proud of Malachi for where he's at. Got a long way to go, but he's going to keep doing that.
Ben, how do you feel going into the season?
Yeah, I feel really good. We got a good plan in field goal, special teams as a whole, team as a whole. Personally, I feel great. Coach Bro and I have got a really good setup together in practice periods, so we're really set. We're looking really good.
Chance to talk to Cam recently about your guys' connection and relationship. How important was it to keep it here at Pitt?
That was a huge piece for me, because not only have we known each other for going on 9 years, he's been my holder since I got here. And to have that kind of chemistry, to have that trust over all that time is really big for me kicking field goals. So it's a really big piece.
Why do you and Coach Bronowski get along so well? What do you think about your personalities meshes so well?
Yeah, I think our personalities go together with a T. He's never satisfied. It might be the greatest day ever for everybody, but it can always be better. And I have the same mindset that I take into my field goal kicking and how I go about my life in and outside of football. So I think it's just the fact that we're both never satisfied human beings, and we're always stretching for more, and we want to push everybody to get better.
I think it was last week. I think it was maybe Rasheem Biles said that the new coach had changed the culture of special teams. So that was interesting. How have you seen that kind of play out?
I think it's how Coach Bronowski brings about the best in everybody, how he brings out their energy. You can tell how passionate he is about special teams, how ambitious he is and with football as a whole. And like I've been saying for the last couple of minutes, good is not good enough. And he wants more out of you every single day. And I think that culture, that unsatisfactory culture that we can always get better is what's important, what's taken us very far.
I asked Coach Bronowski about this, but do you think your team, special teams, even the team as a whole, needed sort of a wake-up call from this coaching staff, this new infused energy?
I think a season like last season was enough of a wake-up call. So to be honest, I think we'd have a very similar attitude, but they fit exactly what we needed, and so our coaching staff is just boosting that attitude forward.
What's your range? How long as you get so far this summer?
Summer in camp, live rep 58, 57, hit a 56, but pretty comfortably. I'd say we can back it up a little bit, probably 62, 63, somewhere around there. That's comfortable.
Has Acrisure Stadium changed at all since you've been kicking? You always had been a reputation as tough, be tough on here.
Sure. And, I've said it before, that's one of the main reasons I came here is because if you can kick at Hines or Acrisure, you can kick anywhere. But no, it's been the same. It's tough to read, but once you get a feel for it, I've been there for going on 5 years, so I can read it really well. And once you have a feel for it and a trust in what you're doing, it's pretty nice.
When you say read it, you mean like the wind patterns?
Oh yeah, Yeah, because there's a jumbotron. The wind might feel like it's coming in your face, but it's actually bouncing off the jumbotron, and it might be at your back, even though it feels like it's in your face. So it's like the little things like that you pick up over the years. And then when in doubt, just aim down the middle. It might be feeling, you look up in the flags and they're all going a different direction. But just having the little keynotes like that, it really helps.
Have you ever consulted with Chris Boswell?
We've chatted a couple of times, usually not about football. We've chatted him, maybe once or twice about the stadium itself. Most of my advice came from Kessman, who did chat a lot with Bozzie. But no, last time I chatted with him, it was just about life.
Do you have like little secret indicators that you look for at the stadium that you don't want the other, kickers on the other teams to know about, like ways that you can read the?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because Heinz Field, Acrisure does have that reputation. So usually before the games, kickers will reach out to me and just chop it up about what's it like kicking there, and I don't spill the beans. I keep it to myself. But no, I definitely have those little tricks and those little, like I said, little keynotes that I can read. Nothing specific that I'd say out loud, but we do have those. Yeah.
All set.
All good.
Thanks, bud.
A little bit of stuffy nose, but we're good.
It's that time of year.
Yeah.
Allergies.
Oh yeah, stuck in the hotel for sure.
Do you know all of Ben's wind reading tricks at Acrisure?
Not for kicking, but for punting, it's a little different. Swirls up top a little bit more, so just lower the drop a little bit if it's one of those windy days. But as far as kicking goes, I'm not too sure.
What have you worked on this offseason to kind of get better, get more consistent?
Just overall consistency, I'd say. When Coach Bro came in here, we kind of changed up my form a little bit, staying more compact, shorter steps, stuff like that, lowering that drop a little bit more, getting more explosiveness through the ball. So pretty much just that, yeah.
You made the point this morning that Coach Bros helped get your mind right.
Yeah.
What does that entail?
I think just overall confidence in myself. He helped reinstill that. I think after last season, I kind of lost that, and even during the season, I didn't have too much confidence in myself. I think that's one of the biggest things with a punter and a kicker is you need to have confidence in yourself, and I didn't really do my job last year in giving the defense good field position and bailing the offense out, so I kind of lost confidence in myself. But this offseason has really just been hammering down, knowing how good I am, knowing that I can be great, and just really forcing that on myself.
You came on football late in your high school career, right? When did you start playing football in high school?
Senior year.
Just to ask you.
Yeah.
Never played before that?
No, just said screw it, let's see what happens.
Did the football coach come to you and say, "Let help us out"?
Yeah, they were kicking field goals one day, a bunch of receivers and stuff, and I was like, I could do that way better. And then I think I kicked one, and they were like, all right, you're kicking on on Friday nights. And I was like, okay. So.
When you mentioned those technical changes, is it something where you might sacrifice a little bit of max power in exchange for a little bit more consistency and accuracy?
Not really. I think power is something that kind of comes naturally to me. So shortening up steps like that, that's never really been an issue. Changing mechanics and stuff it hasn't taken off anything, I think. I think I've been hitting the ball way better than I ever have this camp. So I really think it's showing that it's increasing those distances and hang times.
What's your best hang time this summer?
I think it was last week I hit a 60-yard 5.33. So that's probably been the biggest ball. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think last week we were at 44 or something like that. I think it's only gone up since then. So, yeah.
Is that the most important stat to you? Hang time, distance. What do you feel like is the stat that most tells the story about punter does?
I think just giving the defense good field position. I mean, if I can get the ball inside the 20 every time and they got to drive at least 80 yards, I think that's a win in my book. I mean, as much as I love hitting that 60-yard 5.33, realistically, it's not going to be that every time. So I think hitting consistent A and B ball mixture, not hitting a 60-yard ball and then a 10-yard ball. It's hitting a 45, 43, just in that range every single time, and then you can be the best punter in the country.
How is the special team unit shaped up in front of you?
How is it shaped up in front of me?
Yeah, just to provide you protection to kick the ball.
Oh, I think everyone, like Ben was saying, and everyone has been saying, when Coach Bro came in here, he really lit a fire under everyone's butt to show that special teams is one of the most important aspects of football. So now everyone's really taking it seriously, really learning fundamentals. We kind of started over with everything, and now everyone's really taking it seriously. So it's really nice to see. I feel more confident back there and comfortable than I ever have.
You almost antsy to play against Kent State because two people were wrong.
Yes, really bad. I wish that this Saturday was game day. I wish I could just go out and whack whack the ball. Yeah.
But I mean, it seems like you got a lot kind of building up, ready to go, but Bronowski and Narduzzi both kind of compared it to golf, right? You just have to have one thought. You can only be focused on one thing. So I mean, how have you been able to sort of center your mind?
I think just telling myself one phrase when I get out there is just be smooth. I think at the end of the day, that's all a punter can do is be smooth. As long as I stay smooth, all the pieces click together. I've been doing it for so long that everything just, once you get into that flow, everything just works.
Is it hard to clear your head and just focus on the drop and everything?
Sometimes it depends. If I have a bad ball, maybe, but punting's one of those things where short-term memory has to be a thing. So if you hit a bad ball, you know you're going to be back out there maybe in a couple drives. So you always got to stay ready, clear mind.
Do you have a kicking coach you work with?
Not really. I mean, I met with recently Adam Tanowski, met with him. He really helped a lot with form and stuff like that. Went out to Orlando, worked with him for an entire week, and it was really good work.
Narduzzi mentioned the competition. You went down, and Bronowski talked about it too in Orlando. You went down, and
yeah.
What was that experience like down there? I mean, you won, right? So
Yeah, it was really cool competing against some of the biggest legs in college and showing that I can match them and beat them, not only. So it was really cool experience. I'd love to do it again.
What were the parameters of that competition? Like, what were you aiming for?
It was kind of just big ball, just like highest hang, highest distance, or farthest distance, like that, good field zone, stuff like that.
Were there a lot of punters again?
Yeah, there was a ton. I don't know which one's off the top of my head, but like Michigan State, stuff like that.
50 guys?
Maybe 25, I think, something like that. Yeah, it was kickers and punters. So,
Did you get a chance to talk with many of them and exchange thoughts, ideas?
yeah, just like small little chit chat, nothing serious. Just kind of like, oh, what do you do in this situation? What's your form like? Stuff like that. Just small talk. At the end of the day, we wanted to compete with each other.
Did you pick up anything new?
Not really. Just be competitive every day.
Any other questions for